what is speed reading and what is active reading and why is it so important? See, in our exams, we are supposed to read long passages about say 350 to 500 words. And how do we read 350 to 500 words fast, make sense, and at the same time be able to answer the questions? Okay. So it is very important to know some of the concepts we discuss here in the class today. Okay. Join me very quickly. Yes, done. Okay. So now let's see what is speed reading. So speed reading is what makes me worried, sir, because I never am able to read fast, and then I end up by the time I end up finishing one passage, the time is up. So I'm not even able to attempt the other questions. So it's all a waste. Okay, so how do we go about improving your reading speed? Okay, so the first thing, what are some of the things we need to do to improve our reading skills? Okay, that is how to improve your speed. The first one is the first big hurdle for reading fast is comfort zone reading. Nobody actually wants to come out of your comfort zone in whatever we do. We get used to some of the things, uh, doing it at our own pace. Okay, we don't want to tax ourselves. Okay, you don't want to do anything more than what already is working for you. But okay, comfort zone speed reading is very well as long as it is leisure reading. Okay, you are reading for your pleasure. Okay, as long as you are reading for your pleasure. But if it is not leisure reading, if it is something that relates to your career or an exam, then comfort zone reading is not going to work for you. This kind of speed is not going to work for you. So you'll have to challenge yourself. Okay. What you need to do is, if you read at a rate of around 200 words per minute, you'll have to increase it to about 400 words per minute. That is the best rate. But there are people I have heard who read much faster than this. They read about 5,000 words a minute. Oh, that is huge. That is awesome. Okay, we don't require this much, but at least 400 words a minute is what we should aim for. So the first of all, what you should try to do is, if you read a passage slow, then purposefully, deliberately, you try to increase your speed to a level that is slightly higher. Once you are adept at that kind of speed, then you increase your speed a little bit more. Okay, and then you will come to a place where you'll see, okay, this has completely changed from the way I used to read about, say, a month ago. So please practice reading faster by challenging yourself. Okay, now look at this. The animal farm is if somebody wants to finish the animal farm in a month, how many of you have read Animal Farm? Who wrote the Animal Farm? Can you tell me? Who wrote this novel, Animal Farm? And George Orwell. Absolutely. And if somebody takes about a month to read this, that's ridiculous. That is completely ridiculous. You can't take a month to read a book like Animal Farm, which is also very easy language, which is also very easy language. But comfort level reading is okay as long as you have not challenged yourself to read also texts which are tougher. Okay, so see, look at this. Have you noticed that while reading reading a topic of our interest, we cruise smoothly through the given text and are also able to understand the gist of the passage? If it is something that relates to your studies or relates to your interests, you will always read the passage faster. Nobody in the class, I'm certain, if you are reading a passage on cricket, you are going to take all the time as you would if it relates to, say, existentialism. Existentialism. Okay, now this is, sir, I haven't even heard of the word. Well, so this starts taking a lot of time. Whereas cricket, everybody we are aware of, so we read faster. How do we make sure that we also are able to read at the same speed in existentialism as cricket? Is simply by reading different kinds of materials. Okay, so that's why it is very important. And why would that be important for an MBA exam? How does it matter? How does it matter for any exam which asks you to read texts, long texts, and answer the questions? What is it actually trying to ask us to do? This every exam that asks you to read and understand is actually is asking you to showcase your ability to read fast, retain information, and able to take decisions quickly. Okay, as a manager, as a lawyer, etc., any profession you choose to become, you just choose to get into, it's very important to read fast, because there will be a lot of material. There is a lot of the corporate world is very taxing, you know that. You cannot take all the time in the world to attend a meeting, saying that, suppose you have been given a 15-page dossier, you say, oh, I'll require 15 days before I can read this and complete this, and then I'll attend the meeting. You can't say that. You know that very well. So it's very important to also, so how do we, sir, if I want to come out of this comfort zone reading, what do I do? First of all, try to read faster, at a faster pace than you are comfortable with. The second thing is, read a variety of material. Okay, a variety of materials. So where will I get these? Everybody knows that most of these essays in exams are taken from the Eon magazine. Okay, one, the Eon magazine, the New York Times editorial pages, the Scientist, huh? The Scientist. Okay, and we have Futurism, the Culturist. There are so many beautiful websites that give you a lot of good article to read. Okay, and you read all of them at the same pace, at a faster pace. Okay, and try to retain information. So this is the idea. So uh, okay, so this is very much important, that you come out of your comfort zone reading by increasing speed also, challenging yourself also, and also trying to read different types of passages. Okay, it's very important. And there are a host of websites which can help us read a variety of topics. Okay, okay. Then this is the first hurdle. That is, speed reading is the first hurdle. The hurdle to speed reading is, the first one is comfort level reading. Break out of it. Okay, start reading a lot of different kinds of material. Now, let me put all of them together. Okay, at the last. Now let us try to piece together. Let's look at different problems and the different kinds of solutions we can uh, see, and then let's put all of them together. Okay, so don't only think of comfort zone level, or breaking out of the comfort zone level speed is the only thing that you need to do. We also should understand there is another hurdle. There is another hurdle which actually makes our reading or answering questions slower, is regression. What is regression? Going back and back, going back again and again. Okay, this going back again and again, that happens with almost everybody. When you're reading and when you have to answer questions, if you don't have to answer questions, you can read it once. But if you have to answer questions, you have a tendency to go back to the passage. You read the second paragraph, you think, I forgot what the first paragraph was about. So you go back to the first paragraph. And when you are reading the third paragraph, you read the first and the second again. How many of us do that? How many of us do that all the time? When you're reading a passage, you see me, Aditi says. Sir, so which means I keep reading. Khushbu says, yes, me, sir. See, look at that. So immediately what happens is, the speed will get, even if you're reading fast, even if you have broken out of your comfort level reading, still you are suffering because you are reading the passage multiple times. It's again going to take time. Okay, now why does that happen? Why do we have to keep reading the passage again and again? One is poor vocabulary, second is poor concentration, and the third one is low retention. Okay, what is poor vocabulary? Everybody knows it. Sir, if a sentence has more than 1, 2, 3 words which I'm not aware of, then the sentence is going to make it to be difficult for me. The second one that is not mentioned here is sentence structure. Sentence structure. Now, this we will learn in grammar. We always do. So even if there are no direct grammar questions, it's very important to know at least basic grammar, because sentence structures, there can be multiple types of sentences. I can write a very long sentence in many different ways. So the ability to understand complex sentence structures and make sense of them. One, and poor vocabulary. So my vocabulary has always been traditionally been not good. Well, how do we improve our vocabulary? We can talk about that in many different. We can talk about poor vocabulary and how to enhance your vocabulary in one class completely. Okay, I can devote a class, one simple class for how to improve your vocabulary. But all of them will be theory until and unless we put them to use. Okay, first of all, the poor vocabulary has to improve. How, sir? It has to improve in a way that you are able to read any text and you're not getting stuck. So, is there a, which means I have to know the entire dictionary? No, you don't have to. Don't have to know the entire dictionary. We have to have 3,000 to 5,000 high frequency words. Now, where do we get these high frequency words? Is there a list? There is no list. But how do I get to that number, sir? It's it's about doing 20 to 40 words every day without fail. Plus, and this is a very important part, plus not worrying about retaining the meaning of all the words. This is one problem that uh, foxes us. We keep thinking that if I try to learn 40 new words, I must retain all the 40 words in the mind. It is not so. You have to look at 40 new words every day and do that for about 3 months. Say, you do that and your vocabulary improves manifold. Why am I asking you to not worry about retaining? Suppose I learn 20 words today, and by the end of the day, I remember only 5. Okay, 15 are lost. You think 15 are lost. You think that you have lost 15. But because you have seen the 15, the next time you come across these words, you feel more comfortable with them. Okay, I'm not worried if you cannot recall all the 15, all the 20 words. If you can recall 5 and you have forgotten 15, no issues at all. Okay, at least you have seen the 15. So that is one of the things that people do not realize. They feel that if they are learning vocabulary, they must retain all. In that effort to do that, one day you learn 20 words, the second day you learn 20 words, the third day it becomes 60 words, and you have taxed yourself, you stop doing it altogether. Okay, I can draw an analogy here. I can tell you, if the earth is very dry, how does it become wet? Not with a few drops of water, not with a few drops of rain. Okay, it has to be consistent rain for a period of time. So you consistently bombard your mind with a number of words over a period of time. It will become wet, or you will start retaining words. Is that clear? Is that clear, Aditi? Okay, how do we improve your vocabulary? Is the first one. Okay, you improve your vocabulary, you don't have to go back. If you have understood if you read a sentence and you have understood the sentence, you don't have to go back, right? But if you do not understand the sentence, again and again, you'll have to go back because of the lack of vocabulary and the lack of sentence structure. You do not understand grammar well. Now, poor concentration is another thing. But before we go in there, let me also talk about the regression, the grammar part of it. At least if you know how to read a sentence in chunks, in blocks, and not as word after word. Okay, if you read word after word, then you are committing a big crime. You will never be able to be, you'll never be faster. Okay, we read in chunks. What are the two chunks that I've taught you in my classes? Is phrases and clauses. And if you are new to the class, you do not know about these two chunks of sentences, you will learn them. Don't worry. to be able to spot the clauses and the phrases and also pay attention to punctuations. Okay, I've seen people who believe that punctuation is almost non-existent. And when you read a sentence without punctuations, if you see a comma and don't take a breath, your understanding is going to suffer. If you see a semicolon and don't stop, your your reading is going to suffer. Okay, so the important part is to make sure that when you're trying to enhance your vocabulary, also try to read chunks of sentences, phrases and clauses by paying attention to punctuation. Now look at this. Is this good reading? The tendency to go back to the parts of the passage or reread the text is called regression. If you read this way, then you are never going to understand it. Okay, I'm sure most of you don't read it this way, but some of you may actually be doing it. But look at the way I'm reading it. I say the tendency to go back to the parts, to go back, okay, the sound, okay, the tendency to go back to the parts of the passage, to the parts, prepositional phrase of the passage, or reread the text, the verb and the verb and the object. I read them together. Reread the text is called regression. Is called regression. So this ability to read phrases and clauses separately, that comes with practice. Okay, but then are we supposed to read aloud, sir? I'll come back to that a little later. Okay, so reading a lot, regression will stop when you start improving your vocabulary and try to concentrate when you're reading. Most of us keep a phone by our sides when we are reading, and for every sentence you read, you want to check your Instagram post or WhatsApp posts. Okay, you'll never succeed in reading fast. Leave alone fast, you won't even be able to read it, understand it, even if you read slow, because you are keeping distractions by your side. So when you are reading, keep things away, concentrate. And low retention. Sir, how do I increase keeping data in my mind? Actively practice it. Try to keep a lot of information when you are reading or when you watch a movie, etc. Make sure that you are able to understand at least, say, 5-10 minutes of data. What all has happened? Okay, what are the names of the characters, etc. You actively try to retain information about places, about people's names, about anything that was important that was mentioned. Okay, try to open your mind and try to keep information as much as possible. Okay, so these three make us go back to the passage again and again. Okay, now one more. Okay, now one more hurdle that we face is, sir, okay, you are counting the laundry list of problems. You are counting the laundry list of problems. Where are the solutions? I am talking about some solutions like how to improve your vocabulary, etc. We talked about, but then we'll also talk about some more. What can be done about these? Okay, this again is a no-no, a big no-no. Vocalization and sub-vocalization. Vocalization is reading out aloud. Sir, is it done? It was allowed when you were a kid. You might remember when you were a kid, your parents would ask you to read out aloud. Now, that was to bring you, to teach you concentration, okay, to teach you to focus. Okay, but kids have minds which are not going to be like focused on one thing for a long time. So, I ask you to read out aloud so that you can concentrate on the text even if you don't understand. Okay, that was the need of asking you to read aloud. But as adult readers, you cannot vocalize. If you speak out aloud, if you start reading the sentences aloud, then immediately your speed will suffer. Automatically your speed will suffer, because when we speak out, we tend to speak out slower. Okay, this vocalization is going to reduce your understanding. At the same time, it is also going to reduce your speed. Sub-vocalization is nothing but at least moving my lips. If I'm not vocalizing them, if I'm not making sounds, at least this, can I do that? No. your lips are not supposed to move when you're reading. The reading is done in the mind. Reading is done in the mind. Okay, so you are not supposed to vocalize. Do you get my point? Okay, don't vocalize or even sub vocalize without making sounds. You are moving your lips, even that is wrong. That will also decrease your speed of reading. Okay, now this is a habit problem because it invariably downs your speed for a simple reason. Your speed is now a function of how fast you read out the words, which will not exceed 200 words per minute. You see, if you're vocalizing, those words is zyada nahi pad paoge. Okay, an average reading speed. The required reading speed to be on the safer side for CAT and other exams is 300 to 350 plus words per minute. Only then you will be able to read all the passages, answer the questions, and still have time in your hand to revise. Okay, so what do? We try to read with our eyes and let the brain do the processing of the information. Okay, how do we read with our mindset? How do we do it? Okay, and how does things improve? Now, as I told you, don't don't focus on each and every word. Focus on the ideas. Now, which makes us think of the structure of a passage, not the structure of a sentence, structure of a passage. Okay, we'll come to that a little later. We'll come to that a little later. So, three hurdles we saw which hamper us from reading faster. Okay. Now, the first solution to read faster is to use your hand as a pointer. Read your finger as a pointer. Okay. The underlining hand motion. Now, using your hand like this when you are reading. Okay. And the speed at which you move your fingers, your mind will start following it. So this actually increases your speed. If you do this, okay, and keep reading and keep doing this faster and faster, your mind will follow your fingers and you'll start reading faster. Okay, but I'm not taking away the importance of vocabulary or knowing the sentence structures well. But as one of the solutions, you can actually use your fingers, underline under the words, okay, under the words to make your speed of reading faster. And when you see punctuations, you actually stop, wait, look, and then read. Okay, for hand motions, you use your writing hand to move down to the page of the text, forcing your eyes to follow the motion. Okay, and if your eyes are not following the fingers, you make them do it. You keep looking at your finger and the text together. Okay, now this is actually a very effective way, which is actually a very effective way. But let me tell you, this is only to be done when you are a beginner and you want to improve your speeds. Okay, don't do it when you are an accomplished reader, because then after a time this actually is going to bog you down. It's going to make your reading slower. Okay, till a time it will actually help you read faster. After a time, this is actually going to bother you. The best reading is done with the eyes. The best reading is done with the eyes. Okay, now that is one is the horizontal motion. Is there also another motion? Yes, we can also use the vertical motion. You can do this also. You read it this way, and you also, once you have practiced, you think I have reached good enough speed with my hand, with my fingers moving horizontally, you start moving vertically. You do this. Okay, you do this, and then also you do it. My father, okay, tell you, you use a mouse pointer. Very good, very good. If you're reading it on the laptop, then and you use a mouse pointer, it's very good. See, my father was an accountant, okay, and he came into calculators much later than we all did. Okay, so his way of counting was like this, and he will not even move his mouth. He wouldn't do anything. I am talking about numbers. So he'll simply say, and then he'll write down the numbers, and you can do 10 calculations 10 times, you will get the same number. He was 100% accurate all the time. I used to be amazed. I would ask my daddy, sir, how do you do it? He says, concentration, moving the hands. It actually helps you add numbers very fast. So when it can work with numbers, Okay, it can also work with your reading comprehension passages. Okay, so how to improve your skills by using your fingers. Okay, now to the next point. So this is one of the things. So how to use my hand, my fingers as a pointer. Now, this is very important, and there is one more. Before we come to anticipation and reading, let me tell you, there is something called okay, there is something called trying to increase your eye span. What does this mean, sir? Trying to increase your eye span when you're reading. If you already are a reader, you know what I'm talking about. A good reader, instead of moving his fingers, he starts moving his eyes to the corner. Okay, so when I'm reading this, see, a good reader would be reading like this. He would be reading the first sentence also and would also be watching the second sentence. So fast. Okay, so he's actually processing two pieces of information. One which he's actively reading, the second which his mind is passively reading. And that's a very important thing for newspaper editorial. Anything you read, okay, you read fast, okay, and if you when you stop using your finger, your mind must actually be doing this. It must be able to adopt this. Okay, you read, and with the corner of your eye, you try to catch as many words as possible. Okay, your mind starts processing that information. Okay, what you are reading actively will will get into the mind, and it will also be telling you what is coming later. And let me tell you, that immediately relates to anticipation and reading. Now, if you remember, if you've been in some of my classes, I've told you that when we do jumbled sentences, jumbled paragraph, okay, okay, when we do jumbled paragraphs, I say once you decide which one is the first sentence, you should always ask questions and find the logical link to the first sentence. Now, how do I find a logical link? And why should there be a logical link? Simply because in a passage, every sentence is logically connected. Okay, the first sentence must extend to the second sentence, and the second sentence must extend to the third sentence. They are all logically connected. Will you be able to spot the logical connection? Okay, that is what we learn in jumbled paragraphs. But if you do this anticipation and reading together with your ability to use your eye to span as many words as possible, okay, then your mind will actually be telling you before the next thought comes, your mind is ready for the next thought that is coming. Okay, so you start anticipating. Now, when you start anticipating what the author is going to say later, this actually improves your concentration. We were talking about concentration and focus, right? So when you're reading, you always keep thinking, what is the next thing that is going to unfold? When we watch movies, what do? We actually keep watching for, what the uh, next event is going to be in the movies. Okay, very good movies, they actually make you think very fast at times. The same kind of thing must be applied here also. You actively think when you're reading this, you actively get engaged in that passage. Once you start engaging in the you might say, sir, not all texts are so interesting that I get engaged. That is what you practice. You practice and practice all kind of materials so that you become adept and become interested in all the topics. You say, well, cosmology has never interested me, or science has never interested me, but talk about music, I am ready for it all the time. Okay, that is for your hobbies, but this will not work for your exams, and this will not work for your career. So we have to have diverse reading habits. Every successful entrepreneur, businessman has a habit of reading. You can check that. Jeff Bezos is an avid reader. Bill Gates has always been an avid reader. Indian businessman, okay, Ratan Tata is an avid reader. So reading is part and parcel of your success. So don't let go. And when you read, put all these things that I've been talking into practice, and you will see that your speed increases. Now, this anticipation in reading is a matter of habit. Okay, as you keep reading, this will automatically increase. Anushka, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm explaining anticipation again. Okay, what I'm saying is when we read, your mind should actually ask, so what follows next is anticipation. That is, when you do this like jumbled sentences, what do we do? Exactly which is going to be the next sentence, which is going to be the next sentence. What are you doing? You're anticipating, you're expecting what should come. And how do we expect? By trying to find the logical link. Okay, how will we able to find the logical link? Asking relevant questions. I don't think Trump is going to make it to the presidency again ever in his life. Immediately you would say, why do you think so? Why do you think so? That question, that ability to question yourself, talk to the reader, talk to the writer as if you're talking to a person in your mind. Don't open your mouth, but keep asking. That is the way I read. I say, oh, is that so? How many of you, when you are reading, you become sad, you start laughing with the passage, okay? You start becoming a little serious with the passage. How many of you feel that emotion in you? That is called anticipation. You do that when you sometimes, if it is worth it, absolutely better. If you are reading something and burst out laughing, okay, if the wording is such that it makes you laugh, you are in that text. You are anticipating, you are expecting, and you are able to understand what the text is saying. Okay, so to get involved in the passage, you have to also expect what is going to happen next. Okay, beta? I totally indulge myself. See, Aditi, again, there is another example I would like to tell you. When I started reading at a very young age, okay, that I did it out of compulsion. I did it out of compulsion, absolute compulsion, because my daddy put me in an English medium school. I was in a government school, okay, no English, my own language, etc. were at a, say government schools, they used to work at their at their own pace. Nothing really was taught to us. And my father put me in a very good English medium school. Done. I was gone. Okay. Tamil. I was in a municipal school in Tamil Nadu. My father picked me up, brought me up north, put me in a school which was English and Hindi. Lo, how am I to cope midway through the session? Midway through the session. Okay, so how was I to cope? I knew only my language, Tamil. No English, zero. Hindi, -1 or -5. How would I make sense of what even the teacher was saying? Okay, it was a nightmare. There was only one thing I could have done. I could have read and improved your vocabulary. Everything I'm speaking here is mostly my own experience. How did you improve your vocabulary, sir? I used to do that. I would read a lot of words. I would look up all of lot of words in the dictionary, forget them, but never used to bother. Kept on doing that. Over a period of time in my school, I used to be called the walking dictionary. Now, that's a huge compliment for somebody who did not even know understand one word. Okay, one word of English. I used to be my principal used to tell me, ask if you do not know a word, ask me no. That was the kind of vocabulary I had at that time, and even now I can boast of good vocabulary. How many of you do NYT Wordle? NYT Word, New York Times Wordle every day? I do it the first thing in the morning, and I've never failed till now. Never failed. It's 100% success rate for me. Okay. It's not to boast, but because this actually keeps. Why do I do this? What is the necessity? It is simply to keep my mind fresh. Okay. Vocabulary, learning vocabulary will always keep you on the edge of things. Okay. You will actually be able to articulate well. When you have the words to express yourself, you'll never fail. And communication is part and parcel of what we do all the time. Okay. And then this All these things come when you start reading a lot. Anticipation automatically starts happening because you are getting involved in the text. So you want to say, Acha, what next? What next? What next? Okay. Okay. So see, efficient readers are sensitive to the ideas and tone of the author, you see, which raises their ability for anticipation of the author. Most of us, what we think of passages is it's something to be done in the examination hall only. No, reading habits or reading skills are a lifetime are life skills. Okay, they are not meant for your exams only. The exams ask you because they are life skills.